Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our June 7th board meeting. Join us for the pledge. Mr. McCarthy.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Here.
Councilman McCarthy.
Here.
Councilwoman Noack.
Here.
Councilwoman Inzarella.
Here.
Councilman Lohman.
Yeah. Okay, we have one site plan today. Mr. Trotter.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. Liam Trotta with the Planning Department, and we have one site plan application for the Board to consider this afternoon, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review. The application is called Safeguard Properties, and the proposal is for a new 24,902 square foot mini storage facility with a cellar and associated site work. The subject property is on West Jericho Turnpike in Smithtown, kind of close to Comac. It's 3 vacant tax lots, and it's a split zone property, WSI in the front and a little portion of residential in the rear. This is the proposed site plan. All the development will be contained to the commercially zoned portion of the property, and the residential portion will remain undisturbed. The applicant has agreed to 9 conditions of a site plan approval. The first, that they obtain applicable permits from the building department. The second condition is that they install a tree preservation fence around all trees to be preserved on site. The third condition is that they obtain a New York State pollutant discharge elimination system general permit. The fourth condition is that they obtain a highway work permit from the state DOT for a new curb cut and improvements within the right-of-way of Jericho Turnpike. The fifth condition is that an approved set of New York State DOT plans be submitted to the engineering department. The sixth condition is that a fee for removal of earth products be submitted to our engineering department. The seventh condition is that a deed covenant requiring the operation and maintenance of post-construction stormwater management practices in accordance with the approved SWIP be filed with Suffolk County. The eighth condition is that a 6-foot-high wood stockade fence shall be provided along the south property line adjacent to the neighboring residential properties, and fencing shall not be installed along the east property line. And the last condition is that all internal lighting in the glass portion of the building visible from public view shall be turned off at the close of business hours. The applicant has agreed to these 9 conditions. So again, this is the proposed site plan, and these are the elevation plans. So that the bottom elevation is what will be visible facing Jericho Turnpike. Does the board have any questions?
Any questions by the board?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Trotter.
Thank you.
We reconvene, sitting as Board of Water Commissioners. Deputy Clerk.
Okay, we have the minutes approval from the meeting of May 19th and a promotion of Linda Shattini to the position of Administrative Assistant at the Smithtown Water District.
Councilman Lohman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella.
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes. Reconvene as Town Board.
Under correspondence, the Comac Volunteer Ambulance Corps 5K run walk on Saturday, August 13th from 8:15 to 11:30. The Smithtown Fire Department Memorial Run Walk on Saturday, August 13th from 4 until approximately 5. Wisconsin Festival Day, Sunday, August 28th from 10 until 5. St. Joseph's Church Family Festival, August 18th from 6 to 10. August 19th and 20th from 6 to 11, and August 21st from 6 to 10. And the last is the Kings Park Chamber Kings Park Rock Music Concert on Thursday, August 4th from 3 to 10. There is 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is for the Town Board to consider proposed amendments to Chapter 322 of the Town Code regarding rental property registration fee. Janice Hanson, Assistant Town Attorney, will present the change.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the board. The purpose of today's public hearing is to consider an amendment to Section 322-4J4 of the Town Code, specifically to add language that would provide that if a residential dwelling is not registered or the registration fee is not paid within 30 days of when the registration or renewal is required pursuant to that section, a late fee equivalent to 10% of the annual registration fee shall be charged for every 30-day period or portion thereof that the property is not registered and shall be due and payable with that registration fee. And if if there are
Okay.
any
Is
questions.
there anyone that wishes to be heard on this public hearing? Anyone on the board?
No.
Being none, I'm gonna move to adopt.
Second.
Supervisor Wareham.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Minogue.
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella.
Yes.
Councilman Lomey.
Yes. Thank you, Counselor.
The second public hearing is for the town board to consider zone change petition 2022-02, submitted by the Preserve at Smithtown for an amendment of conditions 5, 6, and 10 of zone change petition 90-3A. Anthony Bordino will present the petition. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Anthony Guardino. I'm a partner with the law firm of Farrell Fritz in Hauppauge, New York, representing the Preserves at Smithtown LLC, which is the applicant. And the applicant is seeking to modify certain conditions of a change of zone for a previously approved 192-unit development that was approved back in 1996, about 25 years ago. The current approval allows for the construction of 180 units, so 12 less. And those units are in 18 residential buildings, and there will be a clubhouse, gatehouse, and on-site wastewater treatment facility. There are 3 building types, types A, type A, B, and C. My client is requesting a modification of certain conditions of the prior approval to allow for all 10 buildings to be of the same size, basically all type A units. Type A units are the units that are being built right now. So if you've been out there, you see the units, that's what they're looking to build. The site, I'm sure you're familiar with, in Wisconsin, 24 acres in size. 6 of the 7 buildings are currently under construction, and again, they are all type A buildings. As I mentioned, 192 units was approved in about 25 years ago, but in 2020, it was a site plan amendment that was granted, and it modified the layout of the plan, but most importantly, it reduced the number of units from 192 to 180, which is the current approval. It also removed a connection to Cat, which was an objection by the neighbors. As you can see from the photograph that was up, that all the buildings are under construction. They are type A, and they are not very large. My client's desire is to amend the development plan now and simply build all of the buildings as type A buildings, so they're all of the same size, so that all of the living units will be the same size in all of the buildings. As you can see in the booklet, Exhibit 10 is a pretty significant exhibit, which shows an overlay, and it's the overlay of the new plan over the old plan. But when you look at it, I can tell you it's hard to see because it's almost the same thing. It's so insignificant that on the plan, it's very difficult to see and that's up on the screen there. So it's the difference between the red areas there. All of the buildings will be in the same location as the original plan, or at least the 2020 plan. They have the same height, the same number of units, same number of bedrooms. None of that is changing. What is changing, though, is that this plan is including a 15% affordable set-aside. The original approval did not provide for any affordable units. And more importantly, with this plan, because the units hopefully will be larger, all of the affordable units will increase in size from 658 square feet to 842 square feet, so that they're all the same size. So they're the same size as the market rate units. The affordable units won't be smaller than the market rate units. We will require this modification of 3 of the conditions. Condition 5 limited the total building footprint to 93,600 square feet. And my client is now proposing 107,561 square feet, so that's about a little less than 15% increase. Condition 6, which is the total square footage of all the buildings, shall not exceed 186,000 square feet. My client is proposing 201,326 square feet, or about an 8% increase. And then condition 10, which is the minimum landscape area, was required of 464,542 square feet. My client is proposing 394,488 square feet, which is a reduction, but what is important is that we are way over in natural area. So we could easily comply with that condition and not ask for relief by just converting natural area to landscape area. We don't think that's a good idea. I know the planning department doesn't think that's a good idea. Natural area is a far more, it's a better buffer than landscape area. So we're proposing to keep the natural area that's on the property today and not decrease that in any way in order to accommodate the requirement for landscaping. And then finally, the last point I would like to make is that the planning board, and I know you have it, on May 11th, adopted a resolution recommending that this board approve this application subject to certain conditions, and I'd like the board to know that my client finds them all to be acceptable. So we have no issue with the conditions. And that's basically the presentation. I have Mike Moranis here if you have any questions. Jim Tunis is here if there are any questions. Happy to
So
answer.
your natural buffers are remaining the same as the original plan?
Exactly.
They're not being decreased in any way? It's just the landscape areas internally around the building?
Exactly, right.
Okay. And I know in reading the material, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that your client said he would be willing to do additional plantings?
That's correct.
To buffer the residential community to the north of there?
Yeah, there were some, at the planning board hearing back in May, some of the neighbors were concerned about what they would see. There's a significant buffer, and of course, that's not changing, but people were concerned that in the wintertime, you might be able to see through it. So my client met with the neighbors and has agreed to supplement the area, you know, the areas where you might be able to see in during the winter with evergreen plantings. He's happy to do that.
Okay. Are there any questions by the board?
No.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this public hearing in the audience?
Supervisor, I have 4 speaker cards on.
Just be mindful, please, when you speak, you have 3 minutes. When you hear the tone, you'll have about a minute left to wrap up your comments. Thank you. And it is
Leonardo-
also, it's on this public hearing only.
Leonardo Florio?
Excuse me, sir, you have to come up to the mic.
First time.
No problem.
Hi, I'm Leonardo Florio. I live on 447 Gibbs Pond Road. I've been living there for approximately 30 years now. And I'm not looking to, halt progress or anything. I understand that land's been there for a long time. My problem is the traffic. I don't know if this actually causes the extra traffic, but right now Gibbs Pond Road backs up from Smithtown Boulevard to Steuben Boulevard, the first stop sign right now due to 7-Eleven, and when they fix the road to go across Smithtown Boulevard and make Gibbs Pond straight. What is going to stop the extra traffic on Smithtown Boulevard from even causing more traffic to go down Gibbs Pond Road? People on Gibbs Pond Road feel like Smithtown doesn't care about them anymore. It's a pure residential area. I've watched in the last year, 2 kids got hit on bicycles, okay, on Smithtown Boulevard. It's extremely dangerous. Not on Smithtown, on Gibbs Pond Road. That's one thing. The next thing, it's a watershed area. When they build all this stuff, the roads turn into gutters, and I don't know if there's been good environmental impacts, but if you go to Spectacle Pond, the woods inside Lake Ronkonkoma, it's filled up to the top. And every time we do this, it keeps filling up. I don't see any new sumps built. I don't see anything. Also, these folks own the land on Gibbs Pond, across from my house or whatnot. 400 feet of land from the stop sign, from Steuben to in front of my house. I have to keep those woods clean. I personally pick up all the garbage. You can drive down Gibbs Pond, look in front of my house, you won't see any garbage. I even go there with a chainsaw to cut the trees that fall because they just leave them there. What I'm trying to say is, how do we know they're gonna be that responsible if you drive down Gibbs Pond, you look at the land they own, and there's garbage everywhere? And who's gonna protect the water? I had to put a French drain system on my basement because of this. And it's something that the people in that area feel we're forgotten. St. James is fixed up, Village of the Branch, they don't build anything in Nissaquag, but Nescott, always seems to get, all this extra stuff. I'm just want the town to be concerned about the residents, and I'm not even looking to stop anything. Just please look at it carefully, that's all I say.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Patty Stoddard?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you. My name is Patty Stoddard, and I reside at 400 Gibbs Pond Road, Nesconset, and I'm also a vice president of the We Are Smithtown Civic Association. I'm here today to call attention to this bait and switch by the developers of the so-called Preserve of Smithtown. For years, we were told that this project, with so many in the community fought for literally decades, was able to proceed because of the developers had their approvals dating back to the 90s, and there was just nothing the town could do. We asked that this project be put on hold until a new environmental study was performed, since the last study was over 20 years old. And Smithtown Boulevard and environmental issues like draining had changed since then, but our concerns fell on deaf ears. They had their approvals, we were told. There was nothing the town can do, and so construction began with the developer himself breaking ground with a literal golden shovel with board members in attendance. We are here years later after buildings have been erected on the site and the developer is back, hat in hand, asking for a special exemption to build even bigger. So much for having their approvals. This was always the plan, to build bigger than they claimed, to make more money than they claimed, and to drag Smithtown along for the ride, to overburden already congested Smithtown Boulevard, to reduce green space, and to make our town more crowded. And it's particularly shameful that the developer went to the IDA for a $7 million handout based on revenue projections for a project 15% smaller with presumably lower rents, now gets to pocket those millions without having to reapply based on these changes sought. When will our leaders stand up for the residents and tell these developers enough is enough? The developers touted their approvals from the 90s to shut out the public, to avoid important traffic and environmental studies, and to ram through an unpopular development. And so they must be bound by these approvals, and no variances or zoning changes or exceptions should be made. Please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Goylan?
Yes, Robert Goykin, 15 Bradford Street, Nesconset, and today I'm speaking for the We Are Smithtown Civic Association, and I just would like to say that I live within sight distance of this project, and I did not get a notification in the mail for the plan for the variance in the zoning. But today we'd like to comment on the proposed amendments to the zone change on the property now known as the Preserve at Smithtown. Over the years, the name of the development has changed, as has the name of our civic association, but our issues with the property have not. Before any of you were on the town board in 1991, after considerable community opposition, the Suffolk County Planning Department recommended against changing the zoning from residential R15 to apartments. The reasoning then is even more relevant today, over 30 years later, as development in the area has exceeded the capacity of the local infrastructure and environment to effectively handle the expansion. In 1996, again in the face of enormous community opposition, the town ignored the recommendations and issued a compromise zoning change from residential to retirement community, with the addition of significant covenants on the number and size of the units to try to limit the impact on traffic, noise, groundwater, and public schools. The stated need for the project at the time was that this would be an affordable development that would allow Smithtown residents the ability to retire within the town. Since then, the traffic congestion on Smithtown Boulevard, Nichols Road, Gibbs Pond Road Triangle has become a nightmare. During commute times, residents can't safely pull out of their driveways or make left turns on the side streets because of the existing conditions. There is no rational solution. With each new strip mall or convenience store proposed, we ask for an independent traffic study of the triangle, but that never happens. As things currently stand, the conditions fail to meet minimum standards, so theoretically additional traffic can't make conditions worse than failure. Unless, of course, you actually live there and have to drive, bike, or walk somewhere. Then you know it's worse. Recently, Mr. Tunis was given, in our opinion, an inappropriate $7 million tax incentive by the IDA, even though the property is not in a downtown, near mass transit, is not economic development, and is not workforce housing. That's a $7 million windfall profit for Mr. Tunis that is being paid for by the existing residents who now have to pay his share of the taxes to actually fund the extra burden this project places on our infrastructure and schools. Now, to add injury to injury, he wants to increase the size of the units. Bigger units equals more people, more cars, more traffic, more noise, more kids in the schools, and inevitably more taxes for the existing residents.
Thank you, Mr. Glykin.
William Holst.
Good afternoon. I'm William Hulse, resident of Nesconset, and as already has been pointed out, the concerns of the community has remained the same since the 90s, and yet we still have changes in the name of the project, changes in the name of council, and I'm heartened to hear that the council is saying that they've agreed with the planning department's conditions, but there's also a provision in that third resolve that nothing contained herein shall be construed or deemed as implicitly or explicitly approving or endorsing on the merits any subsequent request for approval of any site plan for this property. I'm heartened because we've seen these things change, after so many years, and I certainly hope this is the end of the modifications and the ask for relief. The current developers are experienced business people. They should not come any further with their hat in their hand asking for anything more from the community. As has been pointed out, the traffic on Smithtown Boulevard, and yesterday from the break with Terry Road, after you cross over and go past the water mill, was bumper to bumper all the way to Nichols Road where I live. So the traffic, studies that have been done have found in the past that the traffic level is F. And we would certainly suggest to the board that just because the traffic level, is the F level, that doesn't mean it can't get worse, because we in Nesconset have seen it get worse over the last 3 decades. So, and in terms of maintenance along Gibbs Pond Road, that's something certainly that the landowner should be taking care of rather than the local residents. So I'd like to point out that we've seen this more time and time again. The concerns of the community have been the same since the 90s, and we hope that we don't have to have any more, modifications, any more requests for any sort of relief, because, as I said, these are business people. They should do the economic studies, and before they, build anything, have an idea of whether or not it's going to be profitable and not put the burden on the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holtz. If you could, or the other gentleman, supply the town attorney with the properties on Gibbs Pond Road that are not being maintained. Okay. If we could get that address, we can look into that. Thank you. You're welcome.
We don't have any more cards unless there's somebody.
Okay. On this public hearing? Come on up.
Phyllis Hart, 20 Ponderosa Lane, Wisconsin, New York. Also a Vice President of We Are Smithtown. And to continue Mr. Goykin's comments, now to add injury to injury, he wants to increase the size of the units. Bigger units equal more people, more cars, more traffic, more noise, more kids in school, and inevitably more taxes for the existing residents. Mr. Tunis is shielded from this. This is exactly why the covenants were put on the property over a quarter of a century ago. to limit the impact of the apartments. Oh, and I forgot to mention, bigger units mean more profit for Mr. Tunis. The $3,000 a month price tag obviously increases the bigger units, making a total mockery of the concept of affordable units. The preserves are now clearly advertised on their website as luxury apartments. We Are Smithtown asks that the increase in size be denied. No additional changes should ever be allowed without a new CEQA study, independent traffic study of the Smithtown Boulevard, Nichols, Gibbs Pond area is completed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Godino, would you like to address a couple of these questions? Thank you.
I'll be very brief. I'll address the last comment, the comment of Mr. Goykin. Just saying it over and over again that larger units means more people and more traffic. Just because you keep saying it doesn't mean it's true. It's not true. The number of units is not changing. The number of bedrooms is not changing. The fact that somebody might have a little bit more room in their kitchen or a little more room in their living room or den doesn't mean that there'll be additional people in the units. If it was an increase in bedrooms, I could understand the point, but that's not the case. A couple of comments were made about that it's going to increase traffic. Again, it's not going to increase traffic because there are no additional bedrooms. There won't be more people there. The same number of people will be there in the same number of units. So there should not be any increase in traffic. And in fact, it's less traffic than what was previously approved at 192 units. So there were actually 12 additional units. Those 12 units would generate more people, but it's actually been a reduction. So that's going to, so that reduces the traffic. So again, same number of units, same number of bedrooms. And then with respect to the flooding issue or the runoff, we did prepare a SWIP, a stormwater pollution prevention plan that was submitted to the town and approved. So that's the way the town protects, to make sure that there's not runoff onto other properties. And that was done. And then I guess, Ms. Stoddard, again, it's the same issue, but I guess it was presented in a different way that there'll be, additional environmental impacts. We don't believe that to be the case, again, because same number of units, same number of bedrooms. Here we will have an STP that will, that's a benefit to the groundwater, right? Because the effluent is processed rather than just discharged right into the site, like most homes in Smithtown. And then, in the last 25 years, from when the environmental review was conducted, you think about all of the energy efficient technology that has developed over the years. So the units will be far more energy efficient. They will, the water, the features, the faucets have energy, or I should say water saving features. So there'll be less effluent into the ground. So I think this is actually a better situation from an environmental point of view. It's clearly no worse because we're not adding any units. So I think that addressed all of them. I don't know if I missed anyone, but I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Godino, you still intend to reduce the number of units from 192 to 180?
Yes, oh,
correct?
yes, yeah,
So
that's
you're
not changing.
reducing the units, basically you're reducing approximately 24 bedrooms?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions by the board? No. All right, I'm going to move to close public hearing number 1.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yeah, yes. Sorry.
Councilman Loman.
I'll move to close public hearing number 2.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilman Loman.
Yes. Okay, thank you, everyone. Deputy Clerk?
The town board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to be held at Town Hall on the 12th day of July, 2022, at 2 p.m. to consider proposed local law 2-2022, modifying Chapter 76 as it relates to procedures for use of video conferencing for the conduct of town board meetings.
Councilman Loman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
On the consent agenda, we have the controller, 1 to 11, the minutes of 5:19, and 1 resolution.
Is there anyone on the town board that wishes to remove any resolutions from the consent agenda?
No, thank you.
No.
No.
Mr. Clerk?
Councilman Loman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareham.
Yes.
The town board, after due study and deliberation of the subject record, to issue a sequel negative declaration determination in the matter of the application for site plan approval by Safeguard Properties. Location is on Jericho Turnpike, 602 feet west of Winston Drive in Smithtown, for the reasons stated in a memo from the Environmental Protection Director.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Warehouse.
Yes.
Authorize the town clerk to advertise for bid 2268 truck-mounted street sweeper and 2267 a dump truck with various options.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Warehouse.
Yes.
Award the following bid and authorize the purchase of the associated goods or services. 2251 for a flat deck trailer to All Island Equipment Corporation.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Warehouse.
Yes.
The town board to approve the following. The first two are amendments to the CSEA collective bargaining agreement. The first is regarding the title of junior civil engineer trainee, and the second is regarding the title of personnel transactions clerk. Amendment to the 2022 Highway Road Program to remove roads in order to purchase trucks and equipment. The town board declares property located at 12 Briar Root Drive in Smithtown in violation of Code Chapters 221 and 322, and further determines that since the reputed owner has failed to remediate the violations after 72 hours' notice, the town board demands that the property owner remove all violations thereat. Rescission of Resolution 2021-951 of the town board meeting held on November 2nd, 2021, as it pertains to the term extension of bid 19107. Amendment to the agreement with Rubin, Paterni, Gonzalez, and Kaufman dated September 27th, 2019, to include all necessary legal services with regard to the representation of the town in the matter of the United States of America versus Linda Phillips at an hourly rate of $250 per hour. A ratification of the execution by the supervisor of a stipulation of settlement in lieu of Section 75 proceedings against employee 4395 on a form approved by the town attorney. And the last is to accept the application form for the anti-bias task force.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Warehouse.
Yes.
Okay, the next two resolutions are for the town board to issue a written, consistent determination pursuant to Chapter 151 of the Town Code that the application 2021-24 for Jean Noble and 2021-11 for Alexander Caro are consistent with the local water revitalization plan, subject to the conditions stated in a memorandum from the town planning director.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Warehouse.
Yes.
The town board to authorize the acceptance of a check donation from James and Lee Brennan for $50 to the animal shelter, and accept the dedication of a road granted by Harbor Collision for a road widening at White Avenue in St. James.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Warehouse.
Yes.
Authorize the supervisor to execute the following resolutions on a form approved by the town attorney. An amendment to the fiber optic service agreement with LightPath to add a managed router at 65 Maple Avenue. A CSE residential repair program contract between the town of Smithtown and Suffolk County Office for the Aging, effective April 1st through December 31st, 2022. An agreement with eScream Incorporated to provide drug and alcohol testing services for a one-year term. Medical profession liability insurance policy with Admiral Insurance Company for the Horizon Department. An amendment to the agreement with Alan Schneider dated July 17, 2019, to retain professional consulting services related to personnel and civil service matters at a rate of $110 per hour, effective July 18th through July 17th, 2025. An extension of agreements with fire districts and fire departments of the town of Smithtown and the village of Nissaquag for the use of the Edward Mankuski Fire Training Center for the purpose of training and matters of mutual concern for the town. An agreement with the Incorporated Village in Nissaquag for the town to provide beach cleanup services to beachfront property within the village of Nissaquag. An agreement with various fire departments and districts outside the town of Smithtown to utilize the Edward Mankuski Fire Training Center for one-year term. Agreement on behalf of the Hopog Ambulance District with the Central Islip Hopog Volunteer Ambulance Corp. Effective January 1st through December 31st, 2022. And the last is an agreement with Jerry Kotler Associates Incorporated, a public adjuster.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareham.
Yes.
And personnel resolutions number 1 to 17 as described on the agenda.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareham.
Yes.
And we have two read-on resolutions. The first is a seasonal appointment for Margot Gordon to the position of program aide in the Office of the Supervisor. And the second is to add a no parking regulation to Shirley Court South from Wyandanch Boulevard West for 400 feet on Sundays from 9 to 2.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareham.
Yes. And we will, sitting as Board of Site Plan Review, we'll vote on the site plan.
We have the minutes approval from the town board meeting of March 24th, and conditionally approve the site plan for Safeguard Properties for a proposed 24,902 square mini storage facility with a 24,902 square foot cellar and associated site work. The location is the south side of Jericho Turnpike at Winston Drive in Smithtown.
Councilman Lohman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareham.
Yes. Reconvening as town board, that concludes resolutions. We will move to the public portion. I believe we have some folks that want to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we start, public participation is subject to the rules of decorum, which you all have on your speaker cards, as per the town code, section 76.7. Public portion is for town-related matters only. Any unsubstantiated, unverified, or material false information will be interrupted. 3-minute rule is in effect. When you hear the tone, you have 1 minute to wrap up your comments. Please give your name and address to the deputy clerk and address the town board. Thank you.
Jane Lombardo.
Good afternoon. Jane Lombardo, 41 Sandy Hill Road, Comac, New York. I'm here as a volunteer for Sweetbriar Nature Center. And thank you so much for your support of Sweetbriar over the years. We really appreciate it. My husband is also a volunteer. He's sitting there too. I came because I downloaded your budget for this year and noticed a $7,000 increase in maintenance costs, maintenance budget for Sweetbriar. And I'm asking, what will be done with that extra money? We have so many needs there. The windows are old and rattling. The drafts come through all winter long. The outbuildings are actually leaning so that there are a few places in the outbuildings that are not attached to the foundations. They're that bad and need repair. That's out by the garage. The other thing, the shutters on the house are broken. The historic shutters that are curved, they're so beautiful, but they're broken slats. They can be fixed, I think. Kitchen floor tiles are broken, and it's a real hazard for tripping for the volunteers and public that comes into the house. So with the extra money, I hope some of those things can be addressed, and I'm here to ask you, I know you don't have the answers right now, but I'm here to sort of find out what will be done. The other thing, I had two issues. The other thing is taps and talons. You know that that's our biggest fundraiser of the year, and we haven't been able to have it for a while. And we're hoping that we'll be able to have it in September. And we're also hoping that it will be at Sweetbriar. We haven't heard any approvals or anything yet. We need to plan, we need to send out advertisements, we need to get the vendors, you know, all this stuff. So we appreciate your help, and thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you.
I can tell you that the $7,000 increase is for general maintenance, because it goes up every year. We are in the process, the town board is in the process of searching out grants for major renovation work at that facility. At Sweetbriar, we don't know if we'll get it approved, but we're looking at all avenues. I would suggest you make sure that the conservation board has all the requests that you have, and then we'll do the best we can, either to obtain grants, or we will look at the possibility of putting some funding in the capital budget for 2023 to at least begin to address some work.
Thank you. And, you know, we have a large supply of volunteers that are willing to work with you on any projects that you have. So if you need manpower, just ask us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meg Shuka.
Good afternoon, Town Board, Council members. My name is Meg Shutka. I live on Hitherbrook Road in St. James, and I'm here today representing Eddie's Power Equipment at 553 Lake Avenue in St. James. We want to thank you for hearing, understanding, and caring about our business's concern about closing the road in front of our business. We want to thank you for having the foresight and taking action to address those concerns of tax-paying businesses located in the areas of the proposed road closure by moving the road closure to an area that will benefit businesses and not harm them. While there are those in our community that appear not to care about the survival or success of a business, it is heartwarming to know that our town officials care very much about the business community. We learned yesterday from a conversation with Councilman Lohman that unfortunately there was a slight delay in the installation of the turf for Celebrate Park, making it unusable for the June 29th Summer Nights event, and therefore, the 5 p.m. road closure in the vicinity of Eddie's Power Equipment will occur. We thank Councilman Lohman for contacting us yesterday and apprising us of this situation. While we are certainly disappointed once again, and a 5 p.m. road closure is harmful to us, we understand the predicament the town is in. We would like to ask the town that if this in fact is true, that the town strictly enforce that the road close no earlier than the 5 p.m. on June 29th. In the past, this has not been adhered to, so that is why it is being brought up again. In addition, we would like to ask that the town assist us in exiting the road closure area if that becomes necessary after 5 p.m. We further understand from a conversation with Councilman Lohman that the July and August road closure for the Summer Nights events will occur between 4th and 6th Streets along Lake Avenue, benefiting those businesses in the vicinity of Celebrate Park, which is in the center of St. James, and the reason the property was removed from the tax rolls and turned into a park. On a more serious personal note, we have all witnessed the recent rise of the air of perversive, mean-spirited behavior, and we all have to work towards putting it to an end. The St. James community that both my husband and I grew up in and raised our kids has changed, and when meanness and nastiness infiltrates this wonderful St. James community, it makes me very sad. Social media has become a mechanism to threaten and harm people and often their businesses. Unfortunately, the misguided people that conduct themselves in such a manner do not care about the harm they are causing, and the only thing we can do as good residents, business owners, town officials, and community volunteers is to stand together against such evil. Thank you again for hearing, listening, caring about the concerns expressed to you from Eddie's Power Equipment, a close to 60-year business that my father had started, and that has supported and been supported by a wonderful community. And also, I would just like to thank the hardworking staff that have been working at Celebrate Park. They are truly great assets to this town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Carlin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ann Carlin. I live at 21 Bowman Lane in Kings Park. I used to own a business, the Crafters Table, on Lake Avenue, across the street from the St. James train station. The location where Summer Nights was and was supposed to be this year, and in my opinion, is the best location for this event. This event is attended by hundreds of people. They come and they need the open space to have this event in. A place where kids can run around barefoot on the grass and have fun, where adults can put blankets down on the grass and sit down and relax. Putting this event in a small area that is all cement and one that will be so crowded, it could become a hazard to people who attend the event. I watched the town business meeting last week, and I heard the business owner saying the event affected their business in a negative way. As a former business owner, I would like to tell you that every time the Chamber and other organizations closed down Lake Avenue, every parade they sponsored, St. James Day, the Homecoming Day, the financial impact on my business was substantial. Understand that close to 90% of my business was done on the weekends. On days when Lake Avenue was closed, I did hardly any business most of the time. I did no business. I had not one sale the days when Lake Avenue was closed. I didn't complain because I was part of a community, and sometimes you need to take the hit for the benefit of the community, and you rely on the people of the town. I say that because I find it hard to believe that any business was impacted the way my business was. Have any of you asked for proof of how much money these businesses that are claiming that they're losing after 5 o'clock on a Wednesday night? How much money did you ask them for any proof? Every POS system is timed. It tells you exactly how much a sale was and what time those sales took place. I'm just asking, what are their sales after 5 o'clock on a Wednesday night during the week? Moving this event, this late at this late of the time is not an easy task to do. So much has to be done. People didn't have a problem getting out of the parking lot, as it was stated. They just couldn't go north. The safety of the train tracks coming down and going and people running around the train tracks was not an issue. There's police there. I was on the committee that planned this meeting, the Summer Nights, from the beginning. As I stated previously, my business was north of the tracks. When Summer Nights occurred, it was the first time there was ever a business, an event that was north of the tracks where it highlighted those businesses. Every time, the events are always north. They're always south of the train tracks. Those businesses are the ones that get the attention. The ones north of the train tracks get ignored.
Thank you very much. Your time is up. Thank you.
Tracy Ballater.
Tracy Gallagher, 10 Beaujeu Court, Nesconset. On May 3rd, we had communication in writing that Summer Nights was to proceed in its same location. With that, there was a safe assumption that permits would follow, since we had in writing that we could move forward with the planning of the event. Vendors signed up and paid, advertisement was paid for, and banners made with this location. All the usual planning. Persons unaffiliated with our event took it upon themselves to move it without our consent or input. We were not asked if that new location was feasible logistically, and it's not. We were not given a choice of location. We have repeatedly reached out to try to have our voices heard on this matter and have been largely ignored. We are being told it's better for us by people who have never been behind the scenes of the planning or execution of this event. In the efforts to please a small amount of people, this would affect many other people and their livelihoods and destroy the event as we have known it and its vision. There are many conflicts of interest, safety concerns, Board of Health, logistics, businesses and residents' homes that will be in the proposed area that will also be affected unwantedly. I don't know if anyone has spoken to those residents and businesses that are opposed in that area. It is simply too late in the game to move it this year. We were not even permitted to outline our own plan, and the event was moved once again without our input at all. There must be a compromise this year, as it's too late to change venues, and the voices of the community must be heard, not only the voices of the opposed. We do not wish to harm anyone's business. We are doing something the majority of the community has cherished for the past 5 years and would love to continue doing so. I know a compromise can be reached that benefits all, and Celebrate Park is not right for this event and won't be, even if it's finished. It's just too small. It changes the entire vision, and, okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I have another minute.
You have a minute left, yes. 1 minute left.
Okay, it changes the entire vision of the event and the safety, and we have Board of Health issues with buildings that help us out every year down there. We have several businesses and residents down at the new proposed location that are not happy about this move. And bottom line is, we had in writing that we were to proceed. We never would have proceeded unless we had that. We didn't just take it upon ourselves to assume we had permits. It is in writing. So I don't think it's fair for someone that has never been affiliated with our event to move it without even speaking to us and seeing if it could work there. We do not believe it can work there. So we're asking for a compromise of some kind. For this year, we can discuss next year, but it's very much late in the game. The event is a few weeks away. And a lot of people hang on the balance here, vendors, businesses, myself. This is my livelihood as well. I plan it, but I also work it.
Thank you very
So
much.
thanks for your consideration.
Gina Keeley?
Say my address and everything.
I have it.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Gina Keeley. I live in St. James, and I'm just here to support Summer Nights and keeping it at St. James Elementary. I'm just speaking on behalf of being a parent in the community with kids and little kids. Celebrate Park is great. It is not a good spot for this event. We have so many little kids in the community, and if any of you have ever been to Summer Nights, it's about the community getting together, families. People don't get to do that often or almost ever. You see people come and go at the beach. This is what, three Wednesdays of the summer, I think it is. And parents come with their kids, they put blankets on the lawn, little kids can crawl around, get food, get face painting, things like that. If there are any businesses that feel that they could be impacted, maybe figuring out a way to have them a little bit more involved. But I strongly don't think that Celebrate Park is going to be a good spot for this event, especially with the kids riding the bikes. The school is just such an ideal spot for this. I think with having young kids, you feel much safer having it there, and there's so much room. There are so many people that go to this event, and it's just not going to work. I don't think so. So I'm here for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And the last card I have is for Carrie Mayer Weiss.
Hello, everyone. I swear I won't beat you up too much. As a resident and as the president of the Civic Association, the Community Association of the Greater St. James, we hold many events in our town. Why? We want people to come to town of Smithtown. I was born here, raised here, work here. The great St. Smithtown. Why do we want to do this? So our kids can have something. Again, I learned from my parents. How I learned this is that through the roles of leadership and taking on saying we have these wonderful resources in Smithtown. But in St. James, where is a grassland? Besides the parks, meaning Gaynor Park and Vets, they look amazing, let me add. You have all the approval of the Weiss kids. But I say, where do we have a center of town? And yes, my family alone contributed to Celebrate Park. And when we had that meeting, and I kind of had that moment of, no events are allowed to be there. And I swallowed it and said, okay. That's where we went back to St. James Lutheran. And I say, okay, the chuckle was, don't even ask about summer nights because it doesn't even fit there. And that's where I say summer nights is as perfect as possible at the St. James Elementary. The school district has security guards. We have our wonderful police. We have every aspect of making sure a family is secure and safe. That is the main thing as far as safety. As far as anything else, we had the correspondence because we were waiting patiently as the town board and the supervisor basically had took the time of when we put our permits in and our February 10th conversation, our meeting. All these things I tried to plan ahead, to do our due diligence and discuss with you our events. And I think that has lost completely. I stand here asking for you to reconsider your decision on the movement of St. James Summer Nights. It is going to change the whole aspect. Where are people going to put their blankets? Where are people going to sit on grass? There's nothing there. So in closing, we are volunteers. We don't get paid time and a half. We do not do as far as, we take the time away from our families and our businesses. We try to invest in our town. Volunteerism is literally dying. How do we get other people to want to be a part of this? I'm asking you to reconsider your decision on Summer Night's location.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
No more.
Okay, no other speakers, I will move to close the meeting.
Second.
Supervisor Wainwright?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zarella?
Yes.
Councilman Loman?
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending.